Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining to another publication of results of Latin NCAP. In this opportunity, we're going to be sharing with you results from phase 12, and we're going to have still one more publication before the end of the year to show you further on results. So we begin our publication with the results, the videos actually, where we are sharing the models that we have tested. In this opportunity, we have tested the new Peugeot 208, 4 airbags as standard, made in Argentina, the main source of vehicles for Latin America, and the basic equipment. Hyundai Tucson, 2 airbags, made in Korea. Summary of the cars that we have tested this opportunity is the Peugeot 208, the new one, made in Argentina, 4 airbags as standard, and the Hyundai Tucson, 2 airbags as standard. The Peugeot 208 scored 2 stars overall safety. As you can see there, most of the boxes are in the average 50% of the scoring and according to the dummies as well. We're watching now the frontal impact on real speed, now in slow motion. The car showed unstable structure and unstable footwell area as well. Despite that, the protection was quite average to adequate and good for the adults. Airbags and restraint system worked properly well. The car is equipped with standard ISOFIX connectors, ISOFIX anchorages, and the child seats were installed in that way. The child occupants of the 3-year-old was installed in the forward-facing position, which is not the best recommended one, but still offered a good protection. The car, as you can see in the split screen right now, there was the first round of test with the car. There was a mislatch of the backrest, in our opinion, and Latin NCAP's discussion was because the warning to the consumer that this should be adjusted properly wasn't improved well enough. The manufacturer improved it later on. That's why we have 2 scenarios. We are now watching the side impact crash test on real speed, and we are now watching the same side impact crash with the slow motion. Side airbags did a very good job protecting the adult occupant on the side impact scenario, and at the same time the child occupants showed full protection in the side impact scenario, which is very good for this vehicle. The car does not have side head airbag protection, and that's why the pole impact test was not performed, as the equipment doesn't come as a standard on the curtain airbags. Now we're watching the whiplash testing. Whiplash protection was good for the neck, so that was also good news for the car. The car was tested also on pedestrian protection. Pedestrian protection scoring for this car was average, was mainly passive safety that was tested, or only passive safety that was tested. The car offers AEB systems on board, but as the car could not achieve a minimum score in the passive safety for adults because the pole impact and the side curtain airbags are not standard, therefore the car could not score AEB points at all. We're watching now the ESC testing. The ESC testing comfortably well for the car. We performed the ESC according to regulation and using a robot. You're watching it right now into the inside camera of the test, and we also performed the MOS test, which are actually tests which push the car a bit beyond the regulation scenarios, and the car also managed to get high speeds over 70 kilometers an hour without any problems. We're now going into the Hyundai Tucson. Hyundai Tucson, this is the old model. I will explain this a little bit later, but the result of this car was a 0 star. You see a low score for adults and safety assist, for the child and safety assist box, and we will explain this along the movies. Frontal impact, the car showed stable structure in the front, also stable footwell area, good protection from the restraint systems overall. For the adults, the car has standard ISOFIX anchorages, but the manufacturer declined to recommend child seats. So it was Latin NCAP the one has decided which child seats we're going to be using the test, and that as a consequence is bringing the dynamic points to 0. So no dynamic points for this car because the manufacturer rejected or basically refused to recommend the child seats that we should use in the test. The car was tested in the basic version, no ESC in the basic version, and only 2 airbags in the basic version as well, which is a surprise due to the well-known global model of the manufacturer, and also being an SUV without ESC, it's kind of concerning as well. Side impact protection of the car, even without the side airbags, was overall good and adequate for the adult, and a full protection for the child occupants as well on the side impact. We remind you that the child occupants were installed using ISOFIX anchorages on both child seats, and the 3-year-old, as you can see, was placed rearward facing, which is what it's called nowadays global recommendation or global best practices. We're watching now top view on the side impact scenario. We're watching now the whiplash test. The protection offered to the neck was good for this car, and we also think that this is kind of good news for the passive safety of the vehicle. Pedestrian protection for this car was overall on average not far away from the pedestrian protection offered by this model in other markets and other programs as well. We're watching the full leg testing, head and upper leg as well. As a summary, Peugeot 208, 2 stars overall safety. We can watch there actually the points in the adult occupant protection. The car is missing the curtain airbag as standard, and that is definitely limiting the better score in the adult occupant protection, and at the same time it's limiting to the car to reach more score or better scoring, higher scoring also from the AEB systems in the car, because it doesn't have a minimum adult occupant protection performance. We call for Peugeot to improve that aspect of the car, to have the curtain airbags as standard. The other thing we found in this vehicle was that the information for the consumers in order to properly latch the backrest of the rear seat was not enough, and we have seen that in different testing scenarios. And the manufacturer is on the way of improving that part of the car in warning better the consumer to better latch the backrest, and also to improve the mechanism as well. The first steps was already improve the marking, so that's a welcome step forward. Pedestrian protection was also average, and in terms of the safety assist box, we were expecting to see this car with the AEB systems more broadly, and also with the curtain airbag to be able to score. Hyundai Tucson deserves a different chapter, a separate chapter. This is a model which is no longer in production, but it's a model still available in a few countries in Latin America as remaining stock. We tested the basic version, 2 airbags, no ESC. The story with this car is that when we, Latin NCAP, decided to buy the car for testing, it was early 2021. We approached the different dealers in different countries, and they all said that the new Tucson was at least 2 years away from the market. So that's the decision. The decision was made at that point to test the vehicle anyway. We started, as explained, early 2021. As you can imagine, for pedestrian assessment, we need to replace the parts of the front every time we test the pedestrian, different pedestrian parts, different pedestrian body parts. And that means that we need a large stock of parts in order to go ahead and test the pedestrian assessment. The problem was that in a regular ordering process, some parts actually reached us eventually later than actually much more time, a longer time than only 7 months. That's a very long waiting time as for a regular consumer. So when we asked the manufacturer to support us getting the parts from the main headquarters, which is supposed to be much easier, it would still remain into this at least 7 month waiting time, which is not good also from the manufacturer side. We expected that there was no intention to delay the test in a way that we are falling now in the publication when the new car is in the market. We asked the manufacturer to confirm that by a letter, but the manufacturer rejected to signing up or confirming by black and white that this was the case, that there were no intentions on delaying the test. And on the other hand, we have a very long waiting period as regular consumers to get the parts as well, which is very undesirable for in very let's say normally changed parts like a bumper or headlights or front mesh or even the engine hood as well, that you have to wait for more than 7 months to get the parts for this replacement parts of this car. So in any case, no good news on that standpoint, also not the result. We're expecting that the new vehicle, the new Tucson in the market now, it's going to be standardized with higher equipment, and we expect the manufacturer as well to sponsor and let's say or volunteer for the test and show that the new vehicle is performing better than this one that we have just tested. Having said that, we wrap up this new publication. Before we say goodbye, we would like to acknowledge our main supporters: FI Foundation, Global NCAP Towards Zero Foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, and ICOT as well. So we wish you the best for the next time. In a few days, we're going to be publishing the last set of vehicles for this year. So until then, we say goodbye. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.